Hi, Caroline.
Hi, Ruth.
Actually, we are sitting at FM Alexander's table.
We are, yes.
And actually, why don't we start with that? How did that table come into your life?
Well, in 2007, Alexander's family put the rest of his effects onto eBay. Mm-hmm. And they told the society Stat that they were going to do that. And I saw the little ad in Stat News and I thought, ooh, I'd really like to have the table. And there were various other things as well. But I thought, I really want that table. So there was an eBay auction and I had a bit of money had actually come to me, a little bit. It wasn't an expensive table, but a little bit came to me. And so I got the table.
Wow.
I know. And then I had it restored. It was in really bad condition.
Mm-hmm.
I had it restored and then I've had it ever since.
Mm.
And I found an article actually in the Conscious Control magazine of 2007, which actually told the story interestingly, of the table and how the table was made for Alexander by two of his pupils who were carpenters called the Crossley brothers. And so this table was made by the Crossley brothers in 1939.
Wow.
So, yeah.
It's real history.
Real history, very special. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Lucky. Yeah. Great. So back to you.
Back to me. Yes.
How on earth did you come across the Alexander technique? The usual question. How did it happen? What were the circumstances? What were you doing at the time? Maybe you can also tell me a little bit about your background, other professions.
Yeah. So I came to the technique in 1996. I was an art consultant running my own business. It was very physical work. And I had a really bad frozen shoulder and extremely painful tennis elbow.
Mm.
And so like lots of us, I explored all sorts of solutions. I was in extreme pain. I mean, so much so that I actually thought I was probably going to have to give up my profession. So, yeah, I tried everything I could possibly find. I had injections, I had acupuncture, which did help, but wasn't a kind of permanent solution. And then a doctor I was seeing, actually, a homeopath, said to me, well, why don't you try the Alexander technique? And I'd never heard of it. But frankly, I would have tried anything anyone suggested at that point because I was in real agony. So I went for a lesson, an Alexander technique lesson, January 96. And I thought it was so different from everything else I had tried. There was just something very different about it. I couldn't really say what, but it was interesting enough for me to then go back and have another lesson.
Who was that? Who was your teacher?
Anthony Kingsley in Baldwin Street. Yeah, so then I booked another lesson. And I think it was the second or third lesson. And I was driving home after my lesson. And it was like a light bulb suddenly went off in my head. And I just sort of experienced the words, this is the most important thing you've ever done. And you're going all the way.
Wow.
I know. And I had no idea what to do. Well, obviously it was clear it was a very important thing for me, but I didn't really know what that all meant.
Interesting.
But that experience was somatic. I felt it. So it was really, I would say from that point, I could not continue with my Alexander lessons, sessions, and they fascinated me. And I had a wonderful teacher. I was very lucky. I had a great teacher. And so I had lessons really intensely. I had 3 lessons a week for quite a long time. And during that time, I really sort of reevaluated myself, my life. I made a lot of changes. So I had lessons for 3 years before I trained.
Yeah.
it was just a whole re-evaluation of my life, and I changed a lot of my life, a lot of my personal life, a lot of things in my life, and I just thought it was an incredible thing, and I could really see the potentialities of it for society, for people.
Can you describe a bit how having lessons, Alexander Technique lessons, played out in your life? So how did it transmit into your life?
That's a really good question. It was as if I began to see myself and experience myself in a very, very different way. I knew I was really different from the person that I was playing out in my life. Yeah, I just saw, gosh, you know, you're living this life, but actually you're really different. You're a very different person from the person you sort of think you are. So it went very deep for me, and made big changes. And some of those changes, of course, were extremely difficult for me. And it wasn't like I was observing myself changing. It was just that I had different perspective on things.
So you couldn't continue like you did, and you noticed, what am I doing? And changed.
Yeah.
Changed the outer circumstances of your life.
Yeah, I did. I made lots of personal changes and business decisions that changed my business. So, there was such a lot of change. But what was wonderful for me about all this change going on in my outer life, which I was conducting, I was making it different. But what was so wonderful, I think, about the technique was the feeling of being held by the work.
Yeah.
And there was something that was really stable. I mean, with my teacher and, you know, doing this work, it really gave me a profound stability within myself while everything else was changing. And I think that probably enabled me to make the change because I had this stability within. So I didn't sort of get completely overwhelmed by everything that was going on, but it was big. It was big transformation.
Yeah, and that was already way before your training. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, that was 3 years.
And how did this decision come about
the decision to train? I think I was so fascinated by the technique. I was so excited by it very, very quickly and early on, and I read all Alexander's books quite quickly, and I thought it was just such a transformative thing. And then I really kind of knew quite early on, I think, that I would like to become a teacher, but part of me was saying, well, you can't do that, you know, that's not quite for you. And then I did come to the decision that I really knew I wanted to train, but actually I was too scared to ask my teacher. I thought, could I do that? Could I become a teacher of it? Because I thought it was so amazing, you know. And then eventually I did pluck up the courage to ask him if he thought I could become a teacher. And he said, yes, of course, you know, come up to the school and meet the people and meet the trainers. And so, that was the beginning of it. But it was awesome. I mean, I will never forget the first day I visited the North London Training School. And I walked into a room of people, and the atmosphere was extraordinary. I'd never experienced anything like that before. It was quiet. Everyone was quiet, focused, attentive. And the atmosphere, I'll never forget that, walking into that room and thinking, my goodness, this is incredible. And I was hooked. I was hooked.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about your training? You trained with Misha Magidov?
Trained with Misha Magidov. So that was, where were we, 1998. Yes, we had 23 students in this pink painted room up in North London. It was wonderful. It was wonderful, the training. And we had six trainers or so.
Anthony was one of them.
Anthony was one of them, yeah, absolutely. It was a big deep dive, you know. It was well, as people who do the training, I'm sure, know, it is a big deep dive into yourself.
Yeah.
So it's an intense, very intensive. And there were good times and there were really difficult times, and times when I sort of was almost overwhelmed by it, but never quite. And it was lovely. It was holding. It was you know, everyone was supportive of each other, and teachers were wonderful. But it's a very intensive 3 years. And then I was also running my business, by then running it on my own at the same time. So, you know, like many of us, we have another career while we're training. And so it was school in the morning, then flying off in my car somewhere to deliver pictures to somebody in Southampton in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, it was a lot of work. But, yeah, it was very special 3 years.
How did you cope with, usually people get very tired in the beginning of first term or so, yeah. And but you managed.
I did. What I used to do actually was after school, I'd whiz home, sleep probably for like 45 minutes or something, and then get on with the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah, great.
Yeah.
So you did run your business. You managed to do both at the same time. Your business obviously financed the training.
Yeah.
And anything about the process during the training? How was putting hands on for the first time or at all? And anything you remember?
I do, actually. I remember. I do remember putting my hands on someone on the table for the first time. It was such an experience because I'd been a successful business person. So, you know, I was used to kind of being able to do things, and I'm pretty accomplished in my field. But when I put hands on a human head for the first time, it was humbling to the core of me.
Yeah.
That I was so deeply touched by that. And I just thought, I don't know how to do this. And that was a shock, because I kind of assumed, you know, I'm quite good at what I do, so I'll be able to, but you know, that'll be all right. Wow. Wow, that was another level of self-development and self-understanding. Yeah, I remember it. I still remember it. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's an important step, isn't it? Because a lot of us have a profession for a long time and we are good at it and just do it, and then we start something new and have to find back to beginner's mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think especially in our work, because we're touching each other, touching another human on every level. So it's very deep training. Yeah.
And then you graduated.
Then I graduated in 98, and that was, you know, that was special as well, because I felt I'm not ready, but I am ready. So it was a twofold thing. So yeah, I've still got all my graduation photos and all the cards I got, so I still kept all those. So that was 98. And then I started up a practice, which was hard. It was very hard work, because really the Alexander technique by 98 was not very well known. It had been previously, you know, highly successful, but by then it had sort of started dropping off the consciousness. So it was tough setting up a business. So I ran my own business alongside it for a while until 2001. And then my own business kind of came to a natural end in 2001. And so from 2001 till now, I've been running a private practice. And I worked in a school. I worked in Anthony's school.
Yeah.
That was great. And so I've just been sort of Alexander involved since then.
So you had a kind of overlap of the two professions for a while, and then you switched to Alexander completely.
Yeah.
And when did you start being an assistant at Anthony's school?
Gosh, I don't remember the dates. Actually, the first.
But roughly when after your
probably
training?
A couple of years after I qualified, something like that. And then I taught for a few years in the school and built my practice up, so that was nice. And I ran a practice, but then Anthony ran his school from Balderton Street, and I was working there, so that was nice too.
Working with students, Alexander students or trainees, is different from working with, let's say, people from the street. Can you
Completely
describe that a bit, or how was your experience of that?
Yeah, well, working with people who are training to be Alexander teachers, they've gone through a lot. They've gone through a lot of personal, not that I like the word particularly, but personal development. So they're used to working with them, with their own systems, with themselves. And when you get someone in from the street, what I experience anyway, is often you get that beautiful beginner's mind. And then the person you're working with is astonished because their body is suddenly moving in a way that they can't comprehend, you know. Of course, the next lesson is a whole different story because now you get all the other stuff coming in and, oh yeah, I know how to do that, and no, you don't. So it's very, very, very different. But the journey with somebody, whether they're a teacher in training or whether they're a member of the public, it's very exciting. It's very individual. It's intimate. You know, you're very involved in that person, and so, you know, watching somebody, whether they're in training or whether they're a member of the public coming to me, and watching them, that sort of transformation taking place is marvelous. It's wonderful. And you know, if I could get every person that came to see me into a training course, I would do it because it's such a wonderful thing to do. You know, that 3-year training, even if you don't go and teach afterwards, although hopefully you do, but even if you don't, that intensive study is just fabulous. Yeah.
And how did you build up your practice? How did you manage to find, or still do, find clients?
Find clients. It's tough because there's a lot of other disciplines that people who are seeking solutions have on offer. You know? So for me, it's PR, and for me, the best thing I do to get clients is run workshops. So if I run a workshop, I can pretty much say I will get 1, 2, 3 clients out of it. And the other thing I've done, and I did actually when I first very early qualified, was to run groups. And I ran groups in a further education college. It was very successful. And then from groups, so when I've run groups myself, sort of, you know, mini courses, 6-week courses, I will get people signing up for one-to-ones from that. So that's really how I do it. But it's hard work. You have to keep doing it. You have to keep putting yourself out there, running workshops.
Yeah, actually, we've been talking about that yesterday briefly, about that it is definitely an advantage to have been self-employed before.
Yeah.
Because you know how to run a business, and certain things you know already. So it's certainly helpful.
Yeah, because I was never afraid to go out and say, this is what I do, you know. If you don't have that, if you haven't had that training in yourself, running a business, it's very tough for people who qualify, and you know, you somehow have to learn how to do that. Put yourself out there, but I think, you know, I think what we do is so beneficial. I genuinely have no hesitation in telling people this is amazing stuff, and it's hugely beneficial in so many areas of society and for people, and in so many experiences they're having.
Yeah,
you know. So it'd be wonderful if the world was just scattered with Alexander teachers teaching the practitioners, teaching the work. Yeah.
How was the transition from the art world towards the Alexander world? There are parallels, there are things that are very different.
Well, they're both creative. They're both creative industries or disciplines. I was at the end of the art. I was in the very commercial hotel end of the art world. So I was working to deadlines and budgets, and Alexander is. I mean, in a way, it's kind of the same. You've got to get clients. You've got to have a budget. You've got to deliver, you know, whatever you're delivering. So there are aspects that are kind of similar. Really.
Okay.
I think if you believe in what you're doing, which in both cases I did, then I think I'm me. You know, so I don't. I don't work in the art world anymore, but if I meet people and I'm talking to them, or I'm talking to a business person, I'm me. That's it. I hope. I don't know. I mean, we all have personas, obviously, which we use in different times. But I don't think there's a big. I don't put on a big persona of the business world or anything like that.
Okay. You've also been meditating for a very long time.
I have.
So how did that happen, and how did it coincide with Alexander or not?
It did, actually. I think it was when I started being more, let's say, more in touch with myself, which Alexander was the beginning of that. And then I remember it very well, actually. I went to a weekend in a meditation center, and I felt during that weekend, I want to, there's something deep in me that I want to explore more deeply. And so it so happened, I was in a center and I said, do you have meditation classes? And they said, yes, we've got two, one tonight and one next week sometime. So I said, I'll go to the one tonight. And that was the one that I then eventually trained to be a teacher in that as well. Heart rhythm meditation. So, and for me, it was, and it is very, very aligned with Alexander depth.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
I think it's finding in oneself. So heart rhythm meditation connects one to the heart. The aim of it is to connect one deeply with one's heart, which is vulnerable, and most of us have sensitive hearts, and so it's connecting deeply with that aspect of self, which I think is very much through a different route. What we're doing in Alexander's technique, we're connecting with our much deeper self, and this goes, if you like, a step further and says, well, this is the deeper self of the heart. So I think it's very, very aligned. And I think Alexander talked about mind, body and spirit. So I think he was well aware that there was a depth to the work. And some people wish not to explore it, but some people do. And I did, and I found it very revealing and helpful. And it's almost like adding or understanding another part of myself and all the challenges that come with that, you know. So
Yes.
it's just an ongoing exploration.
I don't know who said it. The hands are connected to the heart. That when we're putting hands on, they come actually from the heart.
Absolutely.
So it totally makes sense.
Totally. And it's quite an interesting thing, because when we put our hands, you know, on the front and the back of a person, we're putting our hands on the front and the back of their heart.
Yeah.
So that's what I think. But I never talk about meditation to my Alexander clients unless something comes up. And, you know, yes, I think either and both is the depths, getting to the depths of oneself. And maybe in my lifetime, I never will get to the depths of myself, but there's a pathway. And Alexander's a big part of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
And there are lots of Alexander teachers in your meditation classes.
There are indeed.
Including me.
Including you, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I know you do. It's great.
What would you say is the most important aspect of the Alexander technique for you personally?
For me, okay. I think I would answer that by saying that it's the ongoing discovery of the depth and width of myself. And in other words, that's removing some of the constraints that I put around myself and within myself and on myself. So I think it's that on, and it's a gift to be able to teach and go on discovering like this, because that's how I discover in myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a removing of restriction, I think.
Yeah.
And it's not muscular; it's everything.
Yeah.
It's attitude. And then I still read Alexander's books, and I open a book and I think, oh goodness, how come I never read that before? and it's very exciting. Yeah.
Can I ask you for some brief definitions of what's your current elevator pitch of what is the Alexander technique?
Well, depends who you are.
For somebody who never heard about it.
I might say something like, it helps you use your body in better ways in your daily life, whatever you're doing. And then I'd probably go on and say, most of us have unconscious habits which are limiting our flexibility and maybe creating back pain or neck pain or something like that. So I keep it terribly simple.
Yeah.
And probably talk at a very physical level, because that's where their thinking is. And quite often, I just sort of say something and people understand it. People understand they've got habits that they don't know about, or, so people quite easily understand what we say, I think.
Yeah, and then they ask questions and you take it from there.
And then off you go. Yeah, absolutely. And then, well, hey, I'm running a workshop in 2 weeks' time. Why don't you come?
And maybe some brief definitions of the principles?
The principles. End gaining, mind wandering, trying to be right, all that stuff.
Yeah. The force of habit.
Force of habit.
Directions.
But this is what is so precious in a way about this work. It's this understanding Alexander had. He didn't discover anything, but he understood human challenges and human difficulties and the universal the universal nature of those difficulties. So we're all end gainers. We all go for the goal without considering how we're going to get there. Look at how the countries are being run at the moment.
Yeah.
Forever. Not at the moment, forever. Everyone's end gaining, not stopping. And Alexander said, let's stop and consider what we're doing. Whether that's getting out of a chair, whether it's running a country or a company or whatever it is, let's just stop and see what's happening, and then work out what are the steps to get there.
Yeah.
And be clear about those steps.
And that's where the force of habit comes in.
Yeah, of course. That's it. Like that. Over and over again, forever. Force of habit. Absolutely. Yeah, there it is. And we have to just accept all this. This is it. I'm forever going to be an end gainer. My habits are going to be there. But maybe I'm a little bit more conscious, or maybe I'm a lot more conscious, actually, to be honest, than I used to be. And I hope that's an increasingly opening pathway. I hope I become more and more aware of my habits, my end gaining, my trying to be right. There's a big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. But what's so nice about this, I think, is, or I do when I have people with me, I can talk to them about this, and it's experiential, and they can understand it. Oh yeah, I'm end gaining again, aren't I? Yes, you are. But that's fine. That's what you're doing.
So you're using the language of Alexander. You're using the terms.
Yeah. I use those terms because I think they're very good, clear, helpful terms. I have no need not to use those terms.
And inhibition?
Inhibition, I use, you mean the term?
Yeah.
Yeah, I use the term inhibition, but I explain it.
How would you explain it?
I said that what we're doing is inhibiting habitual patterns. And then I say, but when I say inhibiting, I don't mean suppressing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pause with an intention. So inhibition leads into, as Alexander said himself, it leads into the next thing. It's not a stop. We have to work out, okay, we stop, we inhibit, what's next? Otherwise you freeze. You get a fixation.
Yeah.
So, but actually, I don't. The word inhibition, I don't use it a huge amount.
Yeah.
But it's there if I need it, and I've got somebody who's going to work at that in that sort of way, then I use it. Yeah. But I'm not stuck
can be misunderstood. Yeah.
If you don't explain it, it'll be horrific.
Yeah.
Because people will, be like that. So I always explain whatever I'm talking about. I explain it.
Yeah.
And then you have to explain it again, probably, and again, and again. But people get it.
Yeah,
they do get it because they experience it. And then, and I've actually, in the word of inhibition, I've never found a word that will replace it in meaning.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm sure lots of people do, but I haven't.
And primary control?
That's a good one. That's an interesting one. For me, primary control is that which organizes us, right? And Alexander understood the significance of the disruption of the cranium on top of the spine, that relationship, and that crucial relationship which gets interfered with so much. Disturbing that relationship which organizes the whole system prevents the primary control from operating. Yeah?
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. So there's a lovely saying I found recently in the book, actually. He said something like, the primary control can teach us a few things, or knows more than we do, something like that. But lovely. Primary control is teaching us, operating us. So that is it for me. So we're really re-establishing for people, or helping them to re-establish something that is profoundly essential to human well-being. And that is allowing the primary control to operate. Yeah. And I think also then to really recognize that and accept we're all interfering with it, we're all in habit, so much, really accepting all these things that Alexandra understood are obstacles.
And the refinement of that can go on forever.
Absolutely.
And it depends on how far people want to take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's the same when people come for sessions. Yeah. Some people are happy if they no longer have back pain, or why wouldn't they be? But some people go much deeper and further and understand that there's a whole other thing going on.
Yeah. Yeah. A very valuable process.
Oh, it's incredible. It's amazing. I'm very grateful that I get up every morning and actually really enjoy what I do. That's a privilege.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add? Any other topic you would like to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a lot. And sitting around this lovely...
Yeah, thank you, FM.
Special table, yeah. Yeah.
And thanks so much, Caroline.
Oh, thank you, Ruth. And I think your project is very exciting. And thank you for doing it.
Thank you.